sixth race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup, and we're back at Sigulda in Latvia. Hello everybody and welcome. Saturday, January the 1st, 2022, as we get ready for the first action of this weekend, the Women's Monobob World Series. Two heats as ever, and this Sigulda track, John Morgan, is tight for anything. A two-man sled is just about the biggest that we'll get down here, so these Monobobs could be pretty entertaining.
Well, nobody comes straight down this track, Martin. It's a five elevator ride up, 5 stories up to get to here. And start record, look at that, from Poland. You don't see that too often, but it's smooth, the ice, Martin. One thing I've noticed, really tight, quick turns. You know, there's a lot of similarity between this and Altenburg, except Altenburg's longer. Both Altenburg and Sigulda were built at the same time, but the track's busy. You can see it. A couple quick labyrinths right there. Big sweeping right here. A lot of pressure. There's some accidents right there in that spot. With some great camera coverage there. And then, you know, it's fast. You get 75-mile-an-hour plus speeds. Just long straightaway. You come a little uphill here. Big sweeping G-force pressure curve there. Kim Uran with the record. That comes, I think, from the... Here's the finish curve. That comes from the Europa Cup event that was up here that she won a couple weeks ago, Martin. And we don't have a large field, but there's a big opportunity for people to move up, that's for sure.
There definitely is. You're right. We don't have the large field. There's a couple of injury niggles. And also this season, only 5 of the races will count towards the Olympic allocation. So not everybody needs the extra points. And in fact, only 3 of our top 12 World Cup sliders are here in the race. So no Cynthia Appia, the points leader. No Lauren Alter, Alana Myers-Taylor or Kaylee Humphries. No Kim Kalicki. No Melissa Lott-Holtz. No Melanie Hassler. No Mariama Yamanka. But let's focus on what we have got. We've got 15 sleds in the field. So anybody who completes their run will get a second one. Both the Australians are here. We've got a couple of Chinese sleds from Russia, Ukraine, Korea. And as you said, John, the start record from Poland's Linda Wyszewski and the finish record for Kim Uran, who won the race here on the 11th of December. It was the Europa Cup race. Those are the current records on this track. So it's the first time World Cup has been here with a Monobob World Series race. They didn't race here at the beginning of last season. So we've got a great opportunity to set new records, and quite possible that what we might do. Yesterday, it was fairly foggy in the morning and the afternoon, and that meant a humid track. Very quickly, the shine from the initial spritz went off it, and it frosted up. You could see a real matte track surface which slowed down. And let's see what we've got today. Martina Fontinev of Switzerland is the first slider of a brand new year. 35-year-old, 4 races last year. This year her best has been a 9th place in Altenburg and a 5.88, so the start record falls immediately.
It's going to fall 4 or 5 more times, I'm sure. Martina, she's scrambling. There's only one at the moment. I think there's only one Swiss sled that will qualify for the Olympic Games, Martin. I think we know that too. 2 sleds in the two-person event, but
yeah.
But great chance for Martina to pick up some points here. And then Martin, we go up there to her track in St. Moritz, where she should post a top 5 finish up there.
Yeah, her teammate Melanie Hassler is better ranked in the points. Melanie in 9th place and Martina in 28th in the overall standings. Now, not all of those are World Cup sliders. There are some Monobob racers who do Europe Cup only, some who do North America's Cup only. There's Rico Peter, the driving coach. And of course, John, the last time we were at the Olympics was the last time he drove. So it's getting to that stage where suddenly you get to a games and you're the coach. And yeah, that's not just the present, that's your future.
Yeah, he missed a medal. He was the fastest 2nd, 3rd, and 4th runs. He was the 2nd best sled at that Olympic Games. He just had a bad draw, 15th in the first run on that warm day, and sentenced him to 4th. He just missed a medal. But Martina, you're going to do better today. Chance to post her best finish.
Hi, Mommy. Hi, Papi.
Saying Happy New Year. It's been a strange one. I've been doing this 21 years, John. You've been doing it just a couple more than that. I can't remember racing on a New Year's Day. It's been unusual.
Oh, yeah. Been there, done that. Oh, yeah.
Next up, from the Ukraine, Lydia Junco. She was 5th in the Europa Cup race here in December, and she's done 1 World Cup quality start. That was the first race of the season in Innsbruck. She finished in 28th place, tells you how big the field was there. So, really desperately proud to be Ukraine's first female bobsledder. Of course, Ukraine have a male skeleton athlete on the World Cup tour, have had for several years.
Yes, just, you know, getting down the track.
Well, she says, I may never be a Ukrainian who goes to the Olympics, but she wants to be the spark that starts the fire. She wants young women and girls to watch her and go, you can do that?
Yeah, she's 28 years old, Kiev. She's an athlete of the Ministry of Sport, Martin. So that tells you she's a military athlete. But Martin, as we look at women's monobob, this inaugural Olympic season, what makes me real excited, first, I love the sport, but I'm looking at countries that are going to qualify like Vietnam and Cambodia. Did you see those?
Yeah.
Look at this.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah.
For me. Wow.
And for them. And whole new nations, millions of people are suddenly going to have their eyes opened by, you know, by a state broadcaster, because when you get sports like this on TV during the Olympics, it'll be the only time that most people will ever see it, or the very first time that most people will ever see it in that country. But a national broadcaster brings so much focus, doesn't it?
Yeah, these lines here, this is a typical monobob. It's
out of 14.
Yeah, this won't be
climb the hill here.
And then she gets into the finish curve with some real strange lines. The sled gets away from her if they show us that.
Yeah.
She's real low on the cowling. I like that. There's a lot of things she does well. But this skidding is, you know, you're going to see, she won't be the only one. Then this is that uphill section, which can be a graveyard of time with any mistake there. But Martin, there she is. World Strongman competition for women in 2016.
Next up, Victoria Chelanska from Slovakia. And again, talk about new nations. This young slider, just 19 years old, finished 2nd in the Europa Cup race here a couple of weeks ago. 6:03 getaway.
Is she the youngest in the field?
Yeah, she is.
She's the youngest in the field.
She may be the youngest athlete we have here. We had two, 20-year-olds in the men's skeleton field. I'm not sure we've got any teenagers in the bobsleigh pack either, certainly none in the 2-man.
She's from Bratislava. Again, she comes from gymnastics and track and field. And her favorite movie, which means I really like her, Cool Runnings.
Nice slide so far, yeah, good looking line. Speed not quite as high as we've seen from some of the others. That's out of 15. Crossing over the track into 16. Just for fun, they threw in a Kreisel as the final corner. Nobody else, no other track has that. And she is down, Victoria Chelanska in 2nd place, 55.42.
We'll take that again. Youngest athlete in the competition. Some women's bobsledders there cheering her on, and you know, hey, hey, we like it.
It's a little sketchy when Kaylee Humphries and Mariama Yamanka get out of the sled with all their experience. These things, they don't navigate a straight line on their own, John, do they?
No, it's got a mind of its own. I mean, it's the nature of these sleds. You know, it's a brand new discipline. The equipment, you know, these aren't the same sleds they were driving a couple years ago, Martin.
That's for
They
sure.
mature those things quickly.
Yingqing of China now. Like all the Chinese athletes, confined to barracks last year. They were unable to leave their home country because of the travel restrictions. Lies 15th in the World Cup rankings, so she is ahead of all those who competed only in North America's Cup and Europe Cup. And shout out to Alicia Rissling, the Canadian slider who we've seen a lot of in World Cup racing. She just destroyed the field in North America, won every single race. So she is well up in points.
She's a student, 21 years old. Track record, great start. I mean, that's probably why she won all those races in North America, Martin. It's quite a distinctive resume when you do that. Boy, I'll tell you something, that North America's Cup proved pretty successful for some sliders qualifying for the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't just qualify in the spotlight, do you? Every point earned by every athlete in every race goes into the mix.
Yeah.
Well, Yingqing here, her best result last time out in Altenburg, 6th place, and that was a full fat field loaded with all the stars. That was a big, big day for her. And look at the speed now. She's coming from a start record to lead by a quarter of a second.
What do you think, Pierre?
He thinks it's New Year's Eve. He shouldn't be up this darn early. But
hey, there's nobody up earlier right now than me. So I got woke
John,
up at midnight.
You're not up early. You're still an outlier. I know you went to bed early, but
that's the earliest New Year's Eve. Martin, it's the earliest New Year's Eve I ever went to bed in my life. So, hey, she's got the whole package. Martin, she's got the whole package. She could start the sled. She's young, and, that 6th place finish in Altenburg, that's not, Winterberg or Eagles. A little mistake there, though. The back end of the sled got away from her. But, the drive line here, again, spectacular pictures from our team. The lights here on this track, Martin, compared to when we saw Thomas Dukars win the race yesterday. What a great call. We saw Thomas Dukars win 17 years ago. He came from 13th place to first.
18 years, yeah.
He came from 13th to first. The lights were on the track weren't that good that day, I can tell you that. So they did some fantastic upgrades here.
Well, next up, Lubov Chernik, one of our regular World Cup sliders in women's bobsleigh. 5:76 getaway, just 100th away from the track record. Her best result this season was also in Altenburg 2 weeks ago, 14th place.
Yeah, she's got a good start.
Hovered between 14th and 19th in all the races this year. Out of the upper labyrinth, this is 7, 8, and 9. Longer than the first few corners, which come together very quickly. But all the transition here, John, were built for sleds in a different era. They're very quick transitions in these fast, modern sleds.
Yeah, and they've done a nice job. But this track, she got real high there, real high.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the preferred line in skeleton. Whether you're up by the woodwork always in a bobsleigh or not,
5,300 back.
Yeah.
Another athlete that started the sport, the sliding sport in skeleton. That's her listed athletic background. That tells you, how good Ying of China has done, Martin. Here, she beat up Fontinev. Of course, Ying is probably the most other than there's 2 other sleds got higher rankings than her. They're coming down as we look at the straightaway. Pretty good marks. De Bruyne and Serragava are the only other ones that have got better rankings than, look how high she gets there. Ying.
Right up by the woodwork. We were talking about that yesterday with Greg West, how that is kind of the horseshoe line, isn't it, here? Right up by the woodwork. Use the height to dive out. Yeah, Lubov Chernik, 24th in the World Cup rankings, or in the overall women's monobob rankings. She lies in 3rd. Yingqing of China is our leader after the first 5 sleds. 6th starter this New Year's morning. Wai Mingming, of course, for the Chinese, not New Year, just another day. So they're not that worried. Again, like Yingqing, her experience of the monobob sleds Well, with these new Ixen sleds is really quite limited, but what they do have on their side is they know the track in Beijing like the back of their hand. Her best result so far this season, 10th place in the second race in Innsbruck. She
26 years old.
Yeah.
She's a sprinter. You know, at start time, well, she gets 100th off her start time. So, you know, again, you know, the Chinese, watch out. I mean, there's, you know, Gang, the skeleton guy, we expect him. He could medal, no doubt, in China. I think he's going to win a medal. And, you know, the bobsledders, like, you know, Yang was leading this field right now. She's got a 6th place at Altenburg. So, watch out. And, of course, they didn't compete at that event they had in October in China. So, but they've been on that track 1,000 times. If they get any kind of competitive start times, watch out. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Top of the leaderboard. 1-2. China. Yes, this isn't a top field. And we've got 2 of the better sledders coming yet. These, it's impressive. Every single race.
There's never been a home field advantage as great as the Chinese athletes will enjoy, where everybody else has barely even seen the track and they have just lived on it. Literally, I mean, even the run-up to Whistler, the big own the podium thing there, the Canadians didn't spend the entire pre-season before the games just in Whistler. They spent a lot of time, but they did the World Cup races. They had to for rankings. The Chinese couldn't. And as a result, they will know the track better than anybody has ever known a home track. And if that doesn't give Yingqing some kind of hope of a medal, I'm not sure what else might. Next up, Anastasia Makarova, 23-year-old from Russia. Again, 23rd in the rankings. Lyubov-Chernik is 24th, and Victoria Chelanska 25th. But the 2 Russian sliders, Makarova just ahead of Lyubov-Chernik on points. But her best result isn't as good as Lyubov's. It's a 13th place from the season opener in Innsbruck.
She's been around.
Yeah. Took a bronze, beg your pardon, didn't take a bronze, took a 6th place in Winterberg last year in one of her 3 World Cup starts. And if Nazda Serragava doesn't continue beyond the Beijing Games, it's possible that she might not, I guess, then this young woman, you would think, would naturally fall into the 2nd Russian spot without a doubt. She's got good hands, good eyes, good speed here, 3rd best speed. 2900s back, but if she's clean, and she is uphill.
Top 5, maybe, top 4.
Yeah. This might even be a 3rd best run. How far out of 3rd? No, she's 1200s away from 3rd, but she could be swinging for a medal potentially.
Yeah, there's 2 more good sleds yet to come. 3, yes. I mean, you know,
Catty Bile, I mean, she's for a start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Catty Bile, Ashley Werner, and Brianna Walker, both Aussies are back.
Yeah.
Ashley Werner, who missed Winterberg and Altenburg, went to North America, won 3 NAC medals there, took 3 silvers. So that was a good trip for the points haul. Well, there's Anastasia at the end of her first run. Again, a track she'll know well. The Russians spend a lot of time here. This track was built by the Soviet Union before the wall came down, because most of its winter sliders, almost exclusively, actually, its winter sliders, were Latvians. So it seemed like a fairly sensible place to build the track. Catty Bile next, 17th in the World Cup standings in our overall Women's Monobob World Series, I'll say. The 28-year-old. 2 bronze medals last season, but she's been a long way from that this year. Her best result, 10th place, not at home in Innsbruck, but in Altenburg.
She crashed at 2-man training. I was looking in on 2-man training the other day when you were managing your grandson. But she crashed, and it's good to see she's out here. I mean, she's a great driver. You're just, you know, suspect at the start. But, you know, she should be doing better with these sleds than she is, Mark, because it does come down to driving. You know, average start time, 1200s back, good speed. She could crack top 3 if she stays consistent down here.
Yeah, she's not losing much time. Drifting away.
4th.
3rd best speed. This is the same kind of velocity we saw out of Anastasia Makarova. The sled right before her. Well, we saw the speed.
The 4th, yeah.
Saw the speed going away very quickly in this track yesterday. Very quickly. 400s behind Martina Fontinev. Again, she's got a shout. It's because they're not as experienced with this track, not as practiced as other places. There tends to be a little bit more vagary in the consistency of the slides, and that might be a potential factor here.
Here's where she gets into a skid. The exit of this curve here. This isn't bad. These pictures here, this is 11-12. Right here, watch the sled get away from her. This is where she was coming back. She was only 1,200-1,400s down, and that skid there, that went for a long ways.
Yeah.
And then here, another one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the little rise by the commentary box in Altenburg where they break into a skid if they're not 100% straight. So Cathy Bile lies 4th behind Martina Fontinev, Wai Ming and Lydia Junco. Next up, Ashley Werner, getting in the air miles, 20th in the overall rankings. Former Australian bobsled brake woman. 3 silvers in Lake Placid in the races there just a couple of weeks ago. John, the 29-year-old, her best results.
She did well also in the 2-person sleds. I think she medaled almost in every one. So it went from Altenburg and that, oh, look at that square steer there. But she went from the Altenburg where her runners were on the straightaway coming down out of curve 9. And then that was on a Saturday morning. On Sunday morning, she flew to Lake Placid. And was there on Monday morning, excuse me. She competed in the women's event, and then I saw her at the Lisa G's Chicken Wing night on Monday night. And then she went out and won 3 silvers that week.
Yeah, 3 in a week. It's a busy race week, isn't it? There's 3 races.
Yeah, they got 3 2-mans, 3 4-mans, 3 monobob, 3 women's bob, 3 skeletons. They pulled them all off. That's where I saw Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, you know, Kenya. I mean, wow, that caught my attention. Not bad.
Second best speed, 2600s back. So she lost all of that time at the beginning. By the second clock, a couple of 100 meters in, she was already 2900s back and reduced the deficit all the way down. So she had good velocity.
Yeah, she had a start time, Martin. She should have a better start than that. She had a 5:87 start. She should have had a low 80 start. I'm surprised at that. But little up and down there, Omega, and that caused the exit here on the banks, but come straight here. Can't sneak through there without a tap, and that continues to. She straightened out pretty well there. She's her favorite movies, Cool Runnings and Eddie the Eagle. Hard to believe those guys are almost 40 years ago. Christine de Bruyne. Wow. This is one of the better sliders in the field. 7th, 4th, 4th, 9th, and she won the last time out in Altenburg, which was a surprise. So start time, not bad, right there. This one should be the leader, all things being equal, but she's gone from 4 to 6. Gonna have to find a way to stop the bleeding there. I think we lost my friend Martin, but here it comes, 100th. She's only 100th of a second back. Green numbers now. This is what you expect out of the top-ranked slider in the field, coming off a gold medal in the last event in Altenburg, Germany, and she's positioning herself to take another gold medal. And she's flying on the bottom part of the tracks. It's not even close now. It's going to be 2,500s out. Look at this, 3,100s out. Wow! Track record for Christine de Bruyne. ranked 3rd in World Cup points in the two-person sled. Well, the highest ranked female in the field just posted the best time of the day. In fact, a track record for this University of Calgary Dino athlete. Good entry into the sled. Not the perfect start. She's the 4th best start of the competition, but she shows her experience driving down the track, posts the best time. Christina, good run, track record. Here's our standings. Christina de Bruyne, the couple Chinese, Yang and Mingming in 2nd and 3rd. 10 down, 6 more to go. One of the favorites in the field coming up next, Nazda Serragava. You know, she's 6th in World Cup points. And this should be a top 2 or 3 sled right here. Start time, track record at the start. Well, that'll help. 9th, 7th, 5th, 5th, and 10th. She ranks 6th overall. She won one of these events last year in the Europa Cup event. Serragava should be 1,500s up. That's relative to the start. This is where Christina de Bruyne really paid dividends down here on the bottom part of the track. Oh, yeah, Serragava with problems. So de Bruyne's going to be the leader here. Most likely Serragava.
Doesn't quite have the speed of the Canadian, and a skid there. She gets down into 16 in the ditch. And that will leave her into 2nd at the line, 3rd at the line. Ooh.
Wow. Boy, she lost a lot of time there, Martin.
Yes,
she was up by 1,800s. Wow, did she lose a lot of time? She should have been better than that.
They have a slight delay. I'm refreshing my computerized timing screen, and yeah. Well, we saw the time, 54:68, but the computerized timing has just stopped for a moment or two.
54:68.
Was expecting a big start from her, and that's what we got, new start record. But these skids here,
yeah,
3 taps on the straight between 15 and 16, definitely not what she wants.
She got between the 2 Chinese sleds, so she's in 3rd, only a 500ths or so out. Here's another athlete who could challenge, Martin.
Yeah, Brianna Walker was the benchmark last season, 2nd overall in the standings. She would have been the champion, but for the fact that Nicole Vogt won all the races in North America, and last year they scored the same points as everything else. One here, I beg your pardon, one in Winterberg earlier this season in Europe Cup. 5:62, even quicker, and that's all part of it, isn't it? Wow.
Well, it's destiny is in her hands right here with that start. She should be the leader at the bottom if she negotiates these 13 curves. Tight, quick curves, I might add. Right there.
Well, she knows the sled, John, but she's got no previous experience, really, of this track, whereas a lot of the regular World Cup drivers will have been here 2 or 3 years.
1,600s up, but that's going to be 4th best speed. Going to come back to the field, Martin. Could be close, could be right to the 100th here. This is where de Bruyne was perfect. She's not. She's got red numbers.
She's going to be 2nd ahead of Yin Ching, 2 tenths in it.
Yeah, she lost a lot of time in that long straightaway.
Yeah.
So we've seen the last 2 sleds come down with the track record at the start. They couldn't hold it on the bottom. Not a bad exit there. Look at the way they lean coming off the sleds. That's a hard hit there. There's a lot of leaning here. And this is where it went away from her, Martin. Couple hits on both sides. When the front and back hit like that and it results with a skid, she's still skidding into that next curve.
Wasn't as bad as Nazda Serragava, but the same issues there. Rattling left and right.
Here's the story.
13th of our 15 sleds is Romania's Andreea Grecu. We used to think that Romania was one of the smallest nations in the business, and now we've got, as you said, the likes of Vietnam, Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, some very un-winter sport venues or nations are producing
but the
winter
Trinidad
sport
and Tobago,
athletes.
they've been around. They were around. The 88, 92 Olympics, guy named Greg's son.
Yeah.
He was an American living up in North Dakota, teacher up there. But Romania's, a stalwart of our sport. Vietnam and Cambodia.
Yeah.
I would have bet a lot of money 4 years ago I'd never see a Vietnam and Cambodia sled, and that's all thanks to the 2018 Pyeongchang Foundation legacy. That's putting up the money to develop the sport in Asia. Now, Martin, a good story here for Greco. Didn't she almost win this race a couple years ago?
Yes, she did. She was European silver medalist in February 2020, that was. I know, November 2020. Yeah, in the women's bob, yeah. Just got beaten by Nazda Serragava.
But if she would have won that race, she would have had a pension for life. Any Romanian who wins a European championship in a sport, we'll continue to talk about that. That was some heartbreak, and that's a heartbreak right there. That's the hardest steer sideways line. Here's another one.
Oh, and the sled is just constantly sliding away underneath her. Look at the speed, lowest velocity of all.
He's a better driver than that, Martin.
Yeah, they have gone completely wrong on the runners.
Yeah.
Whatever they did to set the sled up, basically it looked like a car on ice, not a sled. The back was just uncontrollable. And that was almost going right back to where we were last year, where these sleds just spent the whole time sliding around behind the pilot.
Well, she had the third best start. She shouldn't have the 12th best downtime, especially with success in this track. And you'd like to say, that wasn't the arrow there, that was the archer.
I don't know. Look at the way. I mean, she's doing all she can. But the back of the sled is just walking around. Comes out here again, like 4-square drift, hits the wall, it breaks away again. Yeah, that was a horror story for Andreea Greco.
Yeah, we agree.
No kidding, no kidding. Well, you don't have to know much sign language to read that one. 2 to go, and here is our winner from the Europe Cup race 2 weeks ago. Kim Uran of Korea, the 29-year-old. She's been 25th and 24th in Innsbruck. Those are the only races we've seen her in.
12th best start, so she's going to be relegated to probably 7th or 8th with the good lines coming down the track.
Well, again, with that start, John, that was only 100th off the start record that was set in that Europe Cup race that she won by Poland's Linda Wieszewski. 8th best velocity for Kim, but off the 12th best start, she's going to need top speed all the way down to get much higher up. Nice clean line, 4th best speed.
Yeah, she's going to prove. She could get to the top 10 if she keeps these lines up.
Yeah.
But again, you start 20 hundredths back on a short track like this, Martin. 6th. Look at that. Nice. That's one of the best drives we've seen.
Yeah, that's a great drive. At the bottom.
That's the best. That's the worst start, best drive we've seen. You know, to be 12th best start and to finish 6th, that's a big deal. Nobody else. Yeah, geez, that's a lot of things she did well here, Martin. The start wasn't it, but boy, she definitely can drive. Like to where her eyes are, clear visor. Look at her lean, try to get away from the wall a little bit.
Yep.
That's an old technique that's probably very well used on this track.
Yeah, I imagine so. So our final slider in the first, the two heats of this Women's Monobob World Series race. Race 6 of the year is Chiara Andreucci, 26-year-old Italian, ranked 37 in the standings. She is the lowest ranked athlete in the field in this Women's Monobob World Series. Had not raced monobob before Innsbruck this year.
She had a 6th-place finish, I think, in one of the Europa Cup events.
Yeah, that's at this race here. So she's been here for a couple of weeks.
Well, the 14th best start. You know, she's in the Air Force, and she comes from athletics, discus thrower. But she's smart with that deficiency at the start. She can only hope to get in the top 10.
Yeah.
She's on board.
Speed. Yeah.
She's one of the sleds.
Look at how far back she is in the sled. Now, she almost is sitting on the rear axle. And that's just to try and get the weight balance right. Everybody has moved from being hard up against the cowl, which you would be in a 2-seat sled, to much more to the center of moment in the sled.
Martin, she's right on the bubble. She's one couple points out. She's on the bubble. She's the next sled in rankings. So the next 3 or 4 weeks is going to dictate her march in the Olympic parade. But that didn't help. That placing right there is not going to help. Of course, she's going to get a lot of points here. 14 points. She's 14th place. She'd get a lot of points.
Well, that is the same. 14th is about the same as a Europa Cup or an NAC win.
Yeah, so that's going to move her up, because the sleds that she's behind in the overall world ranking, she's behind Vietnam, Nigeria, and Cambodia. And I don't think they're sliding anymore. So maybe we won't see those.
Yeah, are there any more NAC races? I'm not sure. I mean, we got this, didn't we, in the very final day of counting points. Before Pyeongchang, there was an NAC race in Lake Placid, and the US managed to earn themselves another sled allocation for the games on the back of it. Well, here is our race leader after first of the 2 heats. She won in Altenburg. Is it any surprise that she's showing good pace here in Sigulda? Christine de Bruyn with a big start and a very good drive to a track record to lead this race. So Christine leads by 2 tenths from Brianna Walker. Yingqing of China, our early leader, 31 hundredths back, just 2 hundredths ahead of Nazda Serragava. Serragava on home ice here. She had a bit of a loose first heat. Can't expect her to throw it away. Could be some interesting battles. We've got a tie between Kim Uran and Martina Fontinev. They're 300s ahead of Ashi Werner, 400s ahead of Kati Bile, 800s ahead of Anastasia Makarova. It could be all change in the second and deciding heat. Well, how are you going to find out? You're going to find out by joining us. 10:30 local, 08:30 GMT, 03:30 Eastern. Till then, if you're still awake, go to bed. If you have woken up already, thank you. Join us for all the action in Heat 2. We'll see you then. Bye for now.